Under the cloak of the moonlit night, we find ourselves by the banks of Kishnoi River. At 2 a.m., the village's superstitions seem to take form in every shadow. Our protagonist, Virat, dismisses these whispers of fear, strolling along the river's edge, his companion Vandana recounting the tale of the Yakshini. Virat teases her, their anniversary momentarily distracting them from the eerie tales. Suddenly, a voice breaks the silence. Payal's, a captivating beauty appears, drawing Virat in. An intimate moment follows under the star-strewn sky, overshadowing the tension of the ghostly tales. But then, terror strikes. The stunning girl becomes the feared Yakshini. Virat's tranquility breaks, replaced by a horrifying reality. The Yakshini claims Virat's life, marking the beginning of our tale. As the rain starts to wash away the remnants of the chilling encounter, nothing but eerie silence remains. The tale of Yakshini Part 2 begins here on this fateful night by the Kishnoi River. You may remember our last encounter with the mysterious Yakshini. Our narrative commenced with an engrossing dialogue between Jagdish and the author, a discourse that was as fascinating as it was eerie. Jagdish, relentless in his curiosity, questioned about the curse endured by Yakshini. The author, with a twist of humor, hinted that the answer lay within the upcoming part of his book, a subtle tactic to uphold mystery. The author's evasiveness, though, did little to satisfy Jagdish's curiosity. He continued his line of questioning, pondering whether Yakshini was intrinsically evil or a product of circumstances. The author, a savant of suspense, left him with a cryptic statement, suggesting that clarity would come soon. As the discussion intensified, Jagdish dared to ask the author about his personal experience with Yakshini, a question met with an unnerving silence. The author eventually confessed to having a personal encounter with Yakshini, a revelation that left us breathless. Just as suspense was at its peak, the author's mobile disconnected, leaving him along with us in a nail-biting suspense. Our author, isolated and perplexed, was left to contemplate the abrupt turn of events. He speculated if Yakshini was present, if her presence was denoted by the mysterious signs. A previously shut door opened on its own, projecting a dim light, and the author felt an irresistible pull towards it. But before he could approach, an unseen force tripped him. As the author's mobile disconnected, a chill of anticipation set in. What could possibly happen next? Let's find out in our next part, Yakshini Part 2. The disconnected call was just the beginning of the author's horrifying ordeal. It was a day of unpredicted events, a day when the unseen was about to make an appearance. The call was lost, swallowed by a silence that ominously hung in the air. It was the stillness that followed, which engulfed the room, that was even more alarming. The author was startled, his fingers clutching the phone tighter. He glanced around the room, his eyes scanning the confines for any signs of the peculiar. He was alone at his desk, a simple wooden structure where he penned down his thoughts. The room was small, yet each corner held a story, a memory that had contributed to his craft. The space was silent, and he could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, the subdued roar of the city beyond his window, and his own heartbeat, growing louder with each passing moment. The unsettling sensation was creeping in, its icy fingers lightly skimming up his spine. Something wasn't right, something was off-kilter. The air seemed to have thickened, a rancid taste lingering in his mouth. He tried to shrug it off, attempted to drown it out with reason, but the feeling was persistent. It was impossible to shake off, a ghostly presence that was gradually claiming the room. Without warning, the closed door creaked open, breaking the heavy silence with an eerie sound. It revealed nothing but a faint spectral light that appeared to beckon him. The sight was unsettling, the light casting a ghastly glow around the room, making his skin crawl. He hesitated, his heart pounding in his chest, a rush of coursing through his veins before he decided to approach the mysterious spectacle. Suddenly, something unseen ensnared his leg, yanking him down in a swift, unexpected move. He found himself sprawling on the floor, the cold phantom grip on his leg tightening. A frantic glance around confirmed he was alone. The panic surged through him, his breath hitching in his throat as he crawled towards the door that now seemed miles away. Just as he reached the door, a force slammed it shut with a resounding bang. The sound echoed through the room, his fearsome groans ricocheting off the walls. For a moment, the room was filled with his chilling scream, a wailing sound that pierced through the silence. His scream echoed through the room, followed by an eerie silence. His voice died away, disappearing into the void, leaving behind the chilling realization of his horrifying ordeal. The author's chilling scream echoed through the room, followed by an eerie silence. Rewind back to a train journey where the old man of Yug had a prophetic warning. A bustling locomotive, each wheel rhythmically kissing the tracks. Conversations hum while the occasional shrill whistle cries. Amidst this orchestra, Yug, an indifferent passenger, is approached by an aged man. This man, unbeknownst to Yug, bore a concerning tale. The elderly man, with eyes reflecting centuries of wisdom, began to speak. His voice, a coarse whisper, barely breaking through the train's symphony. He innocently asked the time, a question hiding the weight of the discourse that was to follow. Yug, initially annoyed by the disturbance, found himself intrigued by the old man's narrative. The man spoke of Yakshini and her connection to a graveyard hut, and a warning. A warning that resonated with the burden of countless generations. He alerted Yug against visiting this hut, a place rumored to host Yakshini's spectral presence. His vivid words painted a haunting portrait of a village, a river named Kishnoi, and a spine-chilling dwelling known as the Graveyard Koti. As his story unfolded, the rapid rhythm of the train slowed down, the surrounding chatter dwindled, and the outside world blurred past the window. It seemed as if time itself was holding its breath, captivated by the revelation of the old man's tale. This tale was not foreign to Yug. It was a story from his childhood, a legend passed down through generations. But hearing it in the harsh light of reality, in the midst of a moving train from a stranger, the tale took on a new, haunting dimension. The old man's tale concluded abruptly as it had begun. He left Yug with a final warning about Yakshini and the graveyard hut, a caution that filled the air with its heavy presence. Yug, alone with his thoughts, started wrestling with the reality of the childhood legend. The old man's words hung in the air. Yug began to question the reality of the childhood legend. Haunted by the old man's words, Yug found himself drawn back into his past. The echoes of childhood bedtime stories reverberated through the corridors of his mind, a chilling symphony of dread and fascination. His father's voice, once a comforting lullaby, now a haunting whisper, narrated the tale of Yakshini. A story he'd once dismissed as a mere tale to keep a curious child from wandering too far into the night, now seemed like an eerie prophecy. Yug's heart pounded in his chest as he remembered the spectral figure of Yakshini, a witch who lived by the Kishnoi river, trapping and preying on unsuspecting travelers. He could almost smell the jasmine and lotus, the sweet scent that marked the witch's presence. The realization hit him like a punch in the gut. The childhood tale was not a mere story, it was a grim reality. His father's words echoed in his mind, the horrifying tale of Yakshini no longer a mere story. In the depth of his memories, Yug found the origin of Yakshini's terror. His father's voice echoed in his mind, painting a chilling portrait of the witch dwelling by the Kishnoi river. She was a creature of the night, drawn to the intoxicating scent of jasmine and lotus flowers. With these, she lured unsuspecting travelers into her dark realm, entrapping them with her otherworldly charm. Once ensnared, her victims would find themselves under her sinister control, their fate sealed by her merciless hands. But why? Why did Yakshini resort to such horrifying actions? The answer lay buried deep in her past. A curse, a wicked spell had transformed the once innocent Yakshini into a monstrous witch. The curse's origin, its purpose, remained shrouded in mystery, a puzzle piece waiting to be discovered in this haunting tale. As Yug's father's tale ended, the truth about Yakshini's curse lingered, leaving us on the edge of our seats for the next part of the story.